What's going on, everybody? Happy Tuesday. Welcome in another edition here of Dangle Bet Selly, live on our FTN Network YouTube page, coming at you on iTunes and Spotify, wherever it is that you listen to your favorite podcast. Chris Meaney here with you. We have a massive, that's an understatement, every single team in the NHL playing tonight. One game last night, one game tomorrow, but 16 NHL games on the slate here tonight. They're calling it the Frozen Frenzy at ESPN. It's kind of cool. Not going to lie. The Tuesdays and the Thursdays, the jam-packed schedules, and the light scheduled nights on Monday and Wednesdays and Fridays and Sundays is a little bit odd, but I see what they're doing here. And this is going to be pretty cool over at ESPN, ESPN2, and ESPN Plus. Frozen Frenzy presented by Enterprise. It's going to be like a little bit of a red zone feel tonight in the NHL. You know, in Sunday red zone, nothing better than that. Commercial-free football start now. Oh, man, I love it. All the touchdowns. I think they're going to show all the goals, and there may be a lot. I was looking over at DraftKings. They have some Frozen Frenzy specials happening today. The highest scoring team, the Panthers, are favored at 9-1, but of course, 16 games tonight. The long shot, the Chicago Blackhawks at 55-1 against the Boston Bruins. Connor Bedard's second home game. How about Bedard, right? Of course, he scores 2 minutes into his first home game at the United Center. Good for him. The Flyers at 55-1, taking on the Golden Knights. Flyers have actually played pretty good, and they got something special going on in the air in Philadelphia, although that game will be in Las Vegas. The Sharks at 50-1, but the Panthers at 9-1, the Devils at 12-1, I think are in a pretty good spot against the Habs in the second half of a back-to-back. Ottawa at 12-1, the Bruins at 13, the Leafs at 13. Should be pretty fun. That's over at DraftKings. They have some daily specials as well. Total daily goals for 16 games tonight, 103.5 minus 125. George, you can't tease that down to like 65 goals over and like minus a million, but 103.5 at minus 125. Like I got nothing. You know what I mean? Like I don't, it's fun little specials, but I have nothing really concrete to offer when it comes to 103.5 goals, but 16 games. There's probably going to be some overs that hit tonight. I would lean to the over on that one, but you know, we'll see how it plays out. Total daily power play goals, 16 games, 22.5. Minus 115, the over on that one. And they also have daily specials for away goals. What is this? Home versus away goals. Yeah, away goals plus 2.5 at minus 120, home goals minus 110 at minus 2.5 spread there. So yeah, you have some fun with it. You can see here, as we just showed, some of the matchups there, and we got them all here on the board as well. It's going to be tough to go through every single game with you guys. I'm a true psycho, and I could do it if you want. As you guys are watching, you hear, haven't heard from my co-host yet. Eric Young is traveling, but we got Pete Jensen of NHL Fantasy joining us in just a little bit. He's going to stop by. We're going to preview a lot of the games as well. Of course, you can catch Pete over at NHL Network. NHL Fantasy is a great Twitter follow, and he has the NHL Fantasy on Ice podcast as well. And I saw him yesterday over at NHL Network, and he was talking about some Connor McDavid replacements, as it sounds like he's going to miss the next 1 to 2 weeks. So I've labeled everything down kind of, just try to keep things a little bit short and concise for you guys and hammer home my top few picks here. But we can roll through a lot of these games until Pete does come back. I want to say, or enters, rather. I want to say what up to the crew as per usual. If you guys are hanging out live on our FTN Network YouTube page, smash that like button. Do me a solid. If you have any comments, any questions at all, even if you're watching the replay on this show, you can leave them in the comment section. I always circle back. It could be a fantasy hockey waiver wire pickup. I have the article for free over at ftnfantasy.com every single weekend, breaking down, the top ads for the week, players to hold, don't panic, players to drop, players to buy and sell, and also taking a look at 4-game weeks. A few teams playing 4 games this week. The Canadians, it depends on how deep your league is, but off to a pretty good start with some of the streamers. We talked yesterday about Tanner Pearson. He had 6 shots, 4 hits, a goal, and an assist. He's been playing pretty good for the Canadians. It's something that I don't expect to continue, but, the Habs are pretty depleted up front. I say depleted, but also very thin, he's getting an opportunity, and he looks pretty decent alongside Sean Monahan and Brendan Gallagher. So he's getting power play time. He's quarterbacking that second power play, which is funny in its own right. But that's the type of things that we talk about over at FTN Fantasy, diving deep into some waiver wire pickups for the week, attacking the schedule, getting the most out of your ads, having players on the Monday, the Wednesday, the Friday, and the Sunday, because of course, you're going to have a lot of good players tonight that are not going to touch your lineup today on a Tuesday and a Thursday. And we're only 3 weeks into the season, and it's a little early to panic and start dropping really good players. But there are some players that are struggling inside that article if you wanted to check out as well. So again, we'll say what up to the crew here. Those comments, those questions, you can leave them. meanstreetsftn@gmail.com. At Chris Meaney, you can slide in on the X machine, Twitter machine, whatever these cool kids are calling it these days. And of course, if you are listening on iTunes and Spotify, we would greatly appreciate rate, review, and subscribe there. Columbus is about to go on a heater, and the Ducks are going to get absolutely destroyed tonight. For those that are just checking in, Troy is our Columbus Blue Jackets fan here. He says every day that the Blue Jackets are going to go into a heater, but we love them nonetheless. Tough for your guy Line, right? A bit of a cheap shot there, but again on IR, and unfortunately he cannot stay healthy. I could see the Blue Jackets going on a little bit of a run here, like Leo Carlsson. Leo Carlsson was in the article, and then it came out that he wasn't going to play every day, that they would ease him into the NHL workload and then kind of hammer his workload into the second half. So it's pretty interesting to hear. Not totally shocking, but wouldn't be shocked if, hearing that news that Leo Carlsson is just like sometimes he's playing and sometimes he's not. And you hope that the Ducks would announce those things in the morning or the night before. But a guy that's pretty tough to hold in redraft leagues when you hear about that sort of stuff. Troy's in the house. They got the Blue Jackets outshot the Wild 54-28 with without Patty on the ice there. So yeah, Blue Jackets. They got some nice little young players there for sure, Troy. I'm going to the Islanders and the Avalanche game tonight. I can't wait. Any props that you love from that game? We could dive into that one a little bit. It sounds like our guy Pete Jensen is in the green room, so we're going to bring him in here in just a second. But maybe we could dive into that one. I mean, not breaking any news here, but Nathan McKinnon does lead the NHL in shot attempts and shots at 5-5 per 60. And the Islanders are giving up a lot of rubber to start the season at 5-5. So there's an option there for you guys. We're going to have some picks. We're going to have some props. We're going to have a board with a bunch of goal scorers. EY's not here, but we do have a board with like 10 to 12 goal scorers in favor of him because, with 16 games on the ice, there just is not enough time in the day for him to go over all of the goal scorers. Pete is in the house. George, can we bring in Mr. Jensen when you get a chance? There he is. Good sir, Pete Jensen. Appreciate you taking the time to join me today. I know you're always busy, but with 16 games on the ice, oh my goodness. At NHL Jensen, at NHL Fantasy, at NHL Network, and of course, you should already be following NHL. You can hear him, of course, weekly NHL Fantasy on Ice. Welcome in, man. How are you?
What's going on, Chris? Okay.
Yeah, I got you. A little frozen there for a second, but keep talking to me. Yeah, there you go. You're good. You're back now. Pete, look at this. 32 teams, 16 games, one
awesome.
night. Isn't this amazing?
Yeah, it's going to be a blast, man. We're so into football, right? We're always texting about our roster decisions and stuff like that. This gives the opportunity for start-sit decisions more so than usual, where, maybe on a busy Saturday or Thursday, you got one odd man out, but here everybody's playing on your entire roster. And yeah, from a betting standpoint as well, just opportunities galore. A lot of these NHL partners have unique exotic bets for total goals, total power goals, all cool things like that. Who are more goals, the home teams or the road teams, all kinds like that are going to be a lot of good food for thought. And it's just going to be something that I think even step away from the work we do for hockey fans at large, like ourselves, for our entire lives. Like, it's just something different that we haven't seen that makes the regular season a little bit more exciting, in my opinion.
Yeah, I never really thought about start or sit, but it's we get a lot of these start or sit questions, on a Tuesday here on our FTN Network YouTube page, and it's really tough to even dive into the football matchups on a Tuesday. But this is a legitimate start or sit kind of day here on a Tuesday. So what are some of the matchups you're taking a look at? Some of the players, and guys, if you have any questions, like Pete is here, and let's take advantage of his time. And if you have any season long questions, any players you're unsure of, maybe starting tonight, a game you're looking forward to watching tonight, or something like that. But Pete, I mean, you saw the board, and it's easy to. It's a loaded question, but what are some of the matchups you're looking at tonight? Some players that have caught your eye of late. I mean, there's a lot of them going tonight.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely interested to see how the Oilers are going to respond. Potential high scoring game against the Minnesota Wild minus Connor McDavid. So the two centers right now, of course, are Draisaitl on a line with Kane and Hyman, and then RNH on line 2. Curious if someone might step up, like, maybe it's a Holloway, maybe it's someone else that we don't expect. But if McDavid's going to be out for a week or two, they're going to need some additional support from within. We've been focusing more on outside replacements, like some guys that come to mind: Matthew Poitras, Boston Bruins, the rookie Adam Fantilli, another rookie for the Blue Jackets, and that's a great rookie storyline. Like if Leo Carlsson plays, right, number 2 versus number 3 from the 2023 NHL draft, and Carlsson and the Ducks visiting the Blue Jackets and Fantilli. So maybe those are guys that you monitor, you see in morning skate, like is Fantilli playing with Johnny Gaudreau for the first time now that Patrick Laine is injured? That could be a possibility, or at least on the power play. Leo Carlsson, Chris, I guess they're doing a little load management with him, but I mean, you can't pass up playing him in this game, can you? I certainly don't think so. I hope that he's going to be in the lineup for the Ducks for this opportunity to face Fantilli. So that's one matchup I'm looking at, and just, the tough situation of having to replace the best player in the world, and Edmonton's already started slow, so their problems are a laundry list right now.
Yeah, absolutely. Leo Carlsson is pretty interesting in terms of a point prop tonight. I think he's a sneaky little goal scorer. EY was giving him some love last week as well, and he looked awesome, in his first couple of games. Of course, he scored in his NHL debut, but playing with the guys that you want him to play with, right? And Trevor Zegras and Troy Terry there. I wonder about, I touched on it earlier off the top, but I think in a redraft league, you just have them and you roll through this, and we'll see what that load management does look like. I mean, this is opening night in the NBA. That's an NBA term. Maybe he doesn't play back-to-backs. Maybe Anaheim is saying, ahead of time that he won't suit up in this game, and you have a little bit of a feel. But how do you treat him in redraft leagues? You just take the upside and roll with it for now?
Yeah, I think, it's one of those things where if you're in a keeper league, obviously you prioritize the player regardless of what his usage is going to be this year. But I mean, he's electric, man. He really came out with a bang in his NHL debut, scoring the goal. And I'm excited to even have him, as normally you have a streaming spot and you rotate all season long. Treat this kind of like how you treated Rupe Hintz a couple of years ago. Remember when he had that lingering, what it was, a lower body injury? It was like out every other game, but you still kept him because he was like point per game or better every single night, it seemed. So I could see it turning into something like that. And then maybe in the second half of the season, they start playing him every day. They said they want him to be a horse down the stretch of the season. I don't know what they're going to be playing for other than, his future potential and giving him an opportunity to develop on the fly for the Ducks. So I'm really excited about the player, the lineup placement, and I hope that he's in the lineup more times than not, because it breathes some fresh air and life into the Ducks organization with all this young talent. You want to see them all on the ice together with Zegras, Terry, Minchukov, right, and McTavish, and of course Leo Carlsson.
Yeah, of course. There's a couple players that I want to talk to you about, and we can view them as like buy low candidates, sell high. Just look at them overall from a fantasy hockey landscape. Of course, I want to talk about Ovechkin right off the top, because a lot of people are talking about Ovechkin being done. He's cooked. That's it. He's not going to score any goals. I think it's more like when I watched him the other night against the Canadians, he was all over the ice. I mean, he had a ton of shot attempts. But the Montreal Canadiens also lead the NHL in penalties taken, so there were certainly some power play opportunities for him. Last year, he started the NHL season with no goals in his first 3, and he went on to score 40. And I remember at the time, like, he didn't score in the first week, and everybody was freaking out. They're panicking, and it's kind of what everybody's doing now. I get some questions. I'm sure you get a lot more, but I've gotten some that have been like, "What do I do with Ovechkin? Like, is this guy done? Is he going to score 20 gols this year?" I'll get your thoughts first on Ovechkin. Is he a buy low candidate for you? Because when we did that first mock, right, with me, you, and Anna, and we had Alberga, that was
Right.
the latest I had seen him go. I think it was end of the third. But then I did a couple drafts and he fell to the early fourth in some spots. In high stakes leagues that count shots and hits, he was like fourth overall in points per game. But of course, he has yet to score, and the Capitals do not look good. They have a matchup tonight against the Maple Leafs, and they are massive home dogs here. Would you be buying on Ovechkin if you didn't have him? Would this be an opportunity? This is an opportunity to buy, but some people say that he is finished. What do you think, Pete?
I don't think he's finished. I still think the floor is so high with the shots and the hits and the goals you still anticipate. I mean, even at his floor, he's probably going to score like 25, 30 goals, right? And combine that with the category coverage, he's still like a top 15 player in bangers leagues and, the full category leagues and stuff like that. So, definitely an opportunity to buy low on him. Same for Tage Thompson for Buffalo, crazy high shot volume. Last night they outshot Montreal, outplayed them, just couldn't find the back of the net. That's definitely been the case for Ovechkin as well with the Capitals. I do worry, though, about Ovechkin's supporting cast for the season at large. Is Kuznetsov happy to be there? You've heard a lot of trade rumors with him over the past 2 years. Nicholas Backstrom, probably not the same player he was, 4 or 5 seasons ago after some of those serious injuries he dealt with. And then Dylan Strome, is he he's been a very inconsistent player in his career. He's looked like a top liner at times and then looked irrelevant at times in fantasy on some of the stops along the way. So at least they have 3 decent center options. I just wonder if any one of them has the ceiling of like bringing out the best in Ovechkin for this particular season. The Capitals have the fewest goals per game in the entire league right now, even behind San Jose, if you could believe that.
It is really bad, and they're giving up a lot of rubber, and they're not generating anything either. I'm just looking at the teams that have the least amount of shot attempts at 5 and 5 per 60. I mean, the Blues, the Sharks, the Capitals are right there. Surprisingly, the Red Wings are there as well, but yet they have no issues scoring goals at the moment. Alex DeBrincat is off to a phenomenal start, and so is Dylan Larkin. That's going to be a pretty good duo. I had Tage here on my list, Tage and Tuck. They split them up yesterday. They had Tuck with Middlestat and Skinner scored the goals on a power play. But those guys really stood out to me last night. I think they are really good buy low candidates as well. And then I want to go over to Timo Meier. Lindy Ruff put him on the bench a couple nights ago. He played like 40 seconds roughly in 11 minutes. And then the other night against the Islanders, I mean, Jack Hughes, my goodness, this guy is just, he's a cheat code. But they put Timo Meier with Jack Hughes to get him going, I would assume. He played a season high over 20 minutes. He picked up a couple assists. Tonight, he's minus 120 for a point against the Canadians. And as I mentioned, Montreal leading the NHL in penalty minutes taken. So a couple power plays most likely headed for the Devils tonight, even though Timo is not on that unit with Jack. And they got Luke there and Toffoli, which I love. Is Timo a buy low candidate? Or is this too early to panic on a guy that has 40 goal potential on this loaded offense?
Yeah, I mean, I think he's a buy low candidate in fantasy for a player that's struggling like Meier, or another one that comes to mind is Pavel Zacha, but great lineup placement, right, with Pasternak and Marchand. Like from a wagering standpoint, like you probably are looking for anything with plus money with those guys. Minus money, I don't know that it's going to be worth it. I just don't know how quickly those guys are going to turn it around over the course of the rest of the season. Sure, I'm sure both of them are going to put up points at the end of the day. Meier's going to put up shots and goals and hits and everything across the board. But you just don't know where he's going to be playing. You don't like to see any benchings. That's how we treat it with other players like Line through the years. You never know when he's going to get benched. It just kind of affects their fantasy value and their ceiling at large. So yeah, I'm a little worried about the Devils and Meier just because they have so many cooks in the kitchen and guys who are deserving of top 6 spots. Is there going to be too much fluctuation? Now they also have an injury concern with Nico Hischier. What does that mean for Dawson Mercer? I would not cut Dawson Mercer just in case he shifts back to center and has some revitalized value here.
Yeah, Mercer's actually been one of the most dropped players I've noticed in Yahoo leagues, but I try to be patient, is what you just said, right? A loaded offense, and it can turn it around at any moment. And if one of those guys inside the top 6 do lose some some time, we would see a guy like Mercer. I mean, they are just so loaded. It's a luxury. The other night when he sure left, I mean, they put Palat, who's just a multi Stanley Cup winner and has played with really good players before, and he plays on that first power play, and a nice little setup to Jack Hughes there. Anything for tonight? Any games you're looking at? DFS goal scorers? Somebody asked you tonight. He said, what was the question we had? I think it was from Emmerich. Hey, Pete, who's scoring tonight? He's got 32 teams in action. Maybe we can get one or two goal scorers, but who's a player or two that you like this evening?
So I was looking at some of the road and home split leaders around the league. Definitely looking for goals on the road, Travis Konechny, Sean Couturier, that combination. I'm not saying they're both going to score, but I think there's some against the grain appeal in the Flyers, who have been really competitive. They're leading the Metro Division. If you could believe it, it blows my mind. But they do have some sneaky offensive players. I'd also add in for fantasy and bangers leagues, like Owen Tippett is really underrated. Try to get that guy in your roster. Try to start him if humanly possible tonight, even with the difficult matchup on the road in Vegas. Jacob Slavin, a lot of those secondary guys on the Hurricanes, whether it's for a goal, maybe that's a little bit less likely for a defenseman, but you never know. He's been scorching hot lately. All those second line guys, Kokaniemi and Stefan Nason, they see significant power play minutes. Seth Jarvis, they're among the road point leaders in the league. They're all tied with each other with 6 so far this season. So keep an eye on that. And then for the Detroit Red Wings, man, ride the hot hand while you still can. Alex DeBrincat leads the NHL in home goals and home points. Lucas Raymond's a nice way to tap into them in a shallow league if you didn't get a piece of Detroit already. But Larkin and DeBrincat look like one of the top 5 duos in the NHL for the rest of the season. I know it's early. I know the team's going to regress at some point, but I think that duo has staying power among the elite in fantasy for the rest of the season.
The Detroit Red Wings amaze me, and you're not wrong about that duo. I'd say they're probably one of the better duos the entire season. I'm sure DeBrincat's going to slow down at some point, but we've already seen him touch 40 goals before, so he can certainly do it. And it seems like Detroit is a much better fit for him than Ottawa. I don't know why it didn't work out with Ottawa. I think of Detroit, he's a legitimate first-line winger there, first power play. At times in Ottawa, it was second line, second power play, wasn't really getting the opportunity that he got in Chicago. He's getting it with the Red Wings. But I look at Detroit. They have 49 shot attempts at 5-5 per 60. That ranks 29th in the NHL. I look at their shots overall, and they're in the middle of the pack, but kind of towards the bottom part of it. But then you see the goals for at 5-5 per 60, 4.01, which is the most in the NHL. And then the 5-5 shooting percentage at 14%. So maybe a little regression coming their way, but it's certainly a better start for Andrew Kopp this season. JT Compher as well brought into the Red Wings, and a much better improved defense, I think, too.
Yeah, and to their credit, I mean, I was high on the Red Wings last offseason, and they kind of underachieved based on my expectations for how quickly their rebuild would accelerate. But then this season, I loved the Sprong pickup. I loved the DeBrincat pickup, but I was a little critical on our podcast, NHL Fantasy on Ice, of the Compher pickup and the contract and Shane Gostisbehere and guys like that. But they've been pretty good so far. And overall, it just seems like a bunch of guys that have a chip on their shoulder, that want to be playing there, that want to turn the illustrious Red Wings of the past around and get back to that over the long term. So it's good vibes right now in Detroit, and they look a heck of a lot better than Buffalo, who I was high on all off season long. I know it's only 5 or 6 games into the season, but that looks like a night and day comparison right now, especially even the goaltending wise. Devin Levi's injured, right? Hopefully it's short term, but they got 2 decent goalie options, and Husso, who has 25 plus wins each of the past 2 years with 2 different teams, and the Blues and the Red Wings. And then James Reimer has been lights out so far. I didn't see that one coming.
No. Yeah, Husso is, man, he's underrated. He's a pretty good goalie, and we're starting to see him get picked up and started across most standard fantasy hockey leagues. Yeah, the Bruins, who I almost counted out, man, it was really tough. I thought this is it. They're not going to make the playoffs, but I had them in as a final wild card. They're off to a perfect 5-0 start. Mind you, the competition hasn't been all that great to start, and they have another softball tonight in Chicago. But Detroit at 5-1, the Canadians sitting there at 3-1-1. That just won't stay true. But the Sabres at 2-4, and the Panthers at 2-3. How do you see this Atlantic playing out? Like, you have Toronto in, you have Florida in.
I don't have Florida in.
Okay.
I think they're going to be a fringe. I think Boston is probably going to get in. I had them in, and I like what I've seen from them so far. Some of these guys, Potra, stepping up. Zaka's got, a much higher gear to reach at some point with those line mates he's playing with. JVR has been really good for the first power play in Boston. That was something, I think we were doing like bold predictions, and I was like, you never know. JVR could have like a 25 or 30 goal season and a bounce back performance, and that seems like it actually could happen. That was a low-key signing that I really like, looking back at it, and nobody was really talking about. But Boston lost Bergeron, Krejci to retirement, and also Tyler Bertuzzi and Taylor Hall, remember, from their playoff run. Both of those guys were like point per game players in the postseason, so big shoes to fill, but JVR's done a nice job, and it's good to see with that changing of the guard that Potra is getting like second line usage and actually getting an opportunity to make a difference for this team. It's like one of those teams out there that has not really integrated young players in the past 5 years or so.
And he looks good. Like he's standing out as well. Ottawa, I think Ottawa is in. I don't know if Detroit makes it, man, but at this point, like, they have a pretty good start on the Buffalo Sabres to, like you said, continue to have some issues in goal and maybe defensively. And I think that I had Tampa out, but we'll see if they can kind of weather the storm until Vasilevsky returns.
Yeah, there's just too many good teams there, and I don't like the start for Tampa right now. Actually, one guy that could score a goal very easily tonight that hasn't scored one yet is Braden Point. So I saw he's still without a goal. How is that humanly possible playing with Kucherov? So I would expect that to change against the Carolina Hurricanes team that has been leaky. Injury to Freddie Anderson, injury to two-way force, the centerman Sebastian Aho, and of course, Svechnikov sounds like he could return soon. I don't know if it's going to be in time for Tuesday, but maybe this week. But they're missing a lot of guys right now in Carolina, so maybe Point gets on the board tonight in the goal department.
I like that call because it's not your typical Hurricane squad. I mean, you mentioned Slavin. I think he's number one among defensemen in fantasy. Of course, if you have shots and blocks, and he's getting some points. And what they did last year, I mean, they had the largest percentage of their goals from the blue line of all the teams. And you got Orlov there shooting the puck, and Brent Burns. I look at shot attempts at 5-5 all the time. I see like 4 Hurricanes defenders up there. It's like Pesci's there, Brent Burns is there, Orlov is there, Brady Shea's there. All these Slavin, these guys are just shooting the puck. They get a lot of offense from their back end. Of course, Aho's missed a little bit of time, but they've also haven't been able to keep the puck out of their net. I like Tampa tonight to win the game, actually. Carolina's not keeping the puck out of their net, and I think that's an issue. Like, they're going to have to figure this thing out in goal. You mentioned the Metro. It's going to roll through a couple divisions, and we'll get you out of here. You mentioned the Metro and Philly. You got the Flyers, the Rangers, and the Blue Jackets up at the top. The Capitals, I think, will be near the basement all year long because of what we talked about. I agree with you 100%. I don't think it's so much on Ovechkin. It's guys around him. And I think at this point, Strome is probably best for his game than any other center that they have. And we saw that, him on that game, on that line last. Strome had a couple goals. Ovechkin was all over it the last time the Capitals played. The Penguins 2-3. I think there'll be some highs and some lows with Pittsburgh, but I feel like they're going to get in. The Devils will be fine, and the Hurricanes will be fine. The Rangers, the Flyers, though, you mentioned a couple of their players. Seeing Sean Couturier, seeing Cam Atkinson back in the lineup is awesome to see, and it really has given the Flyers a little bit of offensive firepower. I want to head over to the West because I know a team that you and Anna were high on, and a team that I'm high on here. At FTN Network, we've been riding them a little bit to start. They've had a tough schedule. The Arizona Coyotes, man. Vejmelka is finally now just owned in over 50% of Yahoo leagues, I think. He is a really good goalie. The addition of Sean Jersey is going to touch career highs across the board. Clayton Keller, there was only two guys, Pete, that had more goals and more points in the last 2 months of the season of 5-5 than Clayton Keller. Goals and points. It was Pasternak and McKinnon. It's a good company. Nick Schmaltz looks great. Logan Cooley's got like 3 or 4 power play points. What do you make of this Arizona team? Are they going to make the playoffs or what? I know that was a bold prediction for you.
Yeah, I just love the offseason improvements that they made with getting Dursey. Dursey's a nice pick to, have a goal or a point against the former team, LA Kings, tonight on this massive slate. First game against them. Remember, he was on the second power play there, and now he's on the first power play in the desert. And we kind of have been calling them the desert underdogs because there are going to be a lot of there's on our podcast, NHL Fantasy on Ice. There are going to be a lot of opportunities where they're massive underdogs on the road. They were a good home team last year, but now after adding Zucker and adding Dumba and having Logan Cooley, top end prospect in the mix, and having Dursey, in addition to all the sneaky young talent they had last year, Valimaki and Keller and Schmaltz and Michelli, and Lawson Krause is a 20-goal scorer with good category coverage for bangers leagues, and Vamelka and Connor Ingram. Ingram's going to start on Tuesday, it sounds. Both of those guys are volume save guys. They can face 40 plus shots and still maybe get you the win or get you into overtime if that's what you're fighting for from a betting lens. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch this team on a game-to-game basis. And I think they're going to be able to translate it to the road a lot more often than last year. And we've already seen it with a couple of their performances in the early going this season.
Man, I'm impressed. I mean, plus 170 tonight too. Like I think that they're definitely available. I mean, they hung around, they beat the Devils in that first game, and then they hung around with the Rangers. They hung around with the Islanders as well. And then they took care of the Ducks there in their home opener. So it's very impressive to watch. And I think too, like, as much as I talked about Barrett Hayton, he's still got a lot to offer as well in fantasy hockey. I mean, he's been all over the net, and it's been Schmaltz and Keller who's contributing with the points, but Hayton has been in on them. He's just not really touching the score sheet. It's been Cooley who's been on that first power play, but Hayton's a guy that I would hang on to as well. Okay, we'll get you out of here on this. Maybe a couple surprises. We talked about one surprise for some people in Arizona. I think people just assume that they're just not a good hockey team, and I think like they're on the rise. You need to put them in the back of your mind in terms of like dogs and fantasy assets. The Kraken are 1-4-1 to start the season. They got 3 points. They've only had 11 goals on the season, 21 against. So they're at the bottom when it comes to goals per game. And last year they were one of the better 5-5 teams. We talked about the Red Wings and their double-digit shooting percentage, albeit it's like 3 weeks into the season. But last year they were the only team, Pete, to have a double-digit shooting percentage at 5-5. McCann, Matty Beniers, Dunn's been great. Are you interested in buying low on any of those guys? Do you have concerns about the Kraken? Like that last year was just an outlier season for them?
I do a little bit. I don't particularly trust their goaltending. I would buy low on Vince Dunn, but there are already injuries on this group. Like Andre Burakovsky's out 6 to 8 weeks. Remember, they got through. They won the round in the first round without Burakovsky, so maybe there's a little leeway there coming, and a little bounce back appeal because of how good they were shooting and scoring last year at 5-on-5, like you said. But they don't have a superstar player. Some of these teams out there have 3 or 4 superstar players, like the Rangers or even Buffalo or Tampa.
Yeah.
Like if you're talking about trying to weather the storm and bounce back, like they have the horses to do so. And I don't know that Seattle does. So, could I see Arizona getting in over Seattle? I certainly could. Could I see, maybe not Calgary or Vancouver, but it could be a little closer than people think. So I still think teams like LA and Seattle will probably get in at the end of the day, but even Nashville looks pretty good. Like I'm surprised at the Nashville quick retooling and how good they look, combination of some star players there and also some good young players like Novak and Evangelista, right? So, and elite goaltending there. So like there's a lot more to like about what you've seen from Nashville. Just to point out one team I didn't have in Nashville at the preseason, and there's a lot to be concerned about on Seattle's end. Even with Beniers, like he doesn't have a super high shot volume, and his line mates fluctuate a little bit, and you worry about the sophomore slump a little bit.
Yeah, it breaks my heart, but I had to cut him in one of my leagues, and just I can't wait around for him. And it's basically what you said. If if he's not shooting the puck, then what is he doing for me? I don't mind hanging on to, like, we're not saying to drop Ovechkin, like, but there's certain players that just shoot the puck a lot. Like Jared McCann's one of those guys that I would be patient with. He had a career high shooting percentage last year. He may not turn it around and do what he did last season, but he's at least shooting the puck. And some of these guys, I mean, there's a lot of streaky goal scorers across the league. Pete, we'll get you out of here. Any final words from this Frozen Frenzy? Any other a player or team or goal scorer or anything that you like tonight? And also, please tell the people where they can check you out.
Yeah, keep an eye on Pavel Buchnevich. Sounds like he could come back, and the Jets have been leaky. Hellebuck's off to a rough start, so keep an eye on Buchnevich. Keep an eye on Leo Carlsson, like we said, and also keep an eye on Anthony Duclair. Tomas Hertl's playing really well, even though the Sharks are a bad team, but Duclair's playing with him. Revenge game there. Also revenge game with Samsonov's not playing for Toronto, but there's a revenge angle on Washington's end for Rasmus Sandin. I believe it's the first time they're playing each other. So something to keep an eye on there. Yeah, follow our coverage on NHL.com/fantasy. We did a start sit article. We did a start sit podcast with matchups.
Nice.
Myself, Anna, and Nick on NHL Fantasy on Ice. So when your show ends, definitely go check that out. And yeah, the Frozen Frenzy is going to be unforgettable tonight. Hopefully they do it again in the future.
Yeah, I hope so too. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be hard to keep up on everything. I'm not going to lie. It was really tough to kind of break down this 16 game slate. We're going to say goodbye to Pete, and we'll have some NHL goal scorers, some shot props, and some points and some sides to wrap up. But yeah, give Pete a follow, guys. Fantastic follow. He'll answer any of your questions on the podcast as well. And they're always chopping it up with some good advice at NHL Fantasy, at NHL Jensen on the Twitter machine. Dude, Connor Bedard's off to a pretty good start too, right? Like he has been, for an 18-year-old kid, this guy is a child, and he is standing out almost every time he touches the ice, Pete. I've been impressed. I don't know what you've seen from him that you liked.
Yeah, the shot volume has dipped the past 2 games, but overall, like I wouldn't be surprised to see this guy bust out at some point. Maybe it's not going to come against a tough opponent tonight, but
yeah,
he's going to have a Hattie at some point and just light the league on fire even more than he already has. So we're waiting for that first multi-goal game, right? So I think it's going to come in the next few games. And yeah, just amazing that he's able to even deal with all this media pressure. You don't always see it. National, international media pressure surrounding an individual player in the sport of hockey, but this is maybe the most I've ever seen it, even more so than McDavid and Crosby. So credit to him to even be helping the Blackhawks stay in the fight to the extent that they've had. I mean, Taylor Hall's been banged up. Like this guy's a one-man show. It doesn't matter who he's playing with. He's, pulling his own weight and one of the best players in the league already. So it's going to be really fun to watch this guy over the course of the season.
He's handling it well too, right? All the pressure. I heard him say, man, I'd be sick of talking about me as well. Like, why do you continue to talk about me? Like, so he's handling it pretty good. And yeah, we faded him the other night against a tough Golden Knights team who's yet to lose a game tonight. Maybe it is an upset for the Flyers heading in there potentially because they've been playing so well. But ultimately, Bedard has been pretty solid. The shot volume has been there. Maybe we stay away from the minus 175 4 shots against a tough Bruins team, but potentially finding the back of the net like he did in his home opener as well. It's just, I like that the NHL is buying into it, right? They put him on primetime opening night against Sid the Kid, a guy that he grew up playing. Then they put him, at Boston, in Montreal, first hockey night in Canada on Saturday, into Toronto to play the Leafs. Then, at home, they get a nice matchup against, the Golden Knights, seeing, a Vegas team there. So the NHL is buying into it. They've had the Cam spy on him. They put him in some primetime games as well. And it's been really, really fun to see. Always a pleasure, Pete. I love chopping it up with you, dude. Keep up the good work. Enjoy all the hockey tonight. And hopefully the winners are yours. And we'll do this again sometime soon as well. NHL Jensen, give him a follow on Twitter. We'll say goodbye for now, Pete. Enjoy the hockey, dude. For those that are hanging out here, we're going to get into some of the favorite shot props and picks. Just wanted to dive into some things there with Pete Jensen and from a fantasy hockey standpoint. So I will I'm going to show you guys what I have, and then I'll try to keep up with some of the comments and questions. If you guys have them, we can get them towards the end of the show. So there's a lot, obviously. Free article over at ftnbets.com highlighting some of my favorite picks today. If you don't already have the NHL package, if you do want the NHL package, well, promo code Meaney will save yourself a little bit of cash. I suggest getting the entire FTN betting package. You will get NBA action tonight, 2 games on the slate as the NBA season opens up. You're also going to get picks from everybody across NFL. PJ is pretty much done, right, George? It's pretty much over. But we have college basketball heating up here very, very soon. Randall was awesome last year in college basketball, college football, but picks across all sports, projections, tools, Discord channel where we jump in there and share our thoughts. I seen the NHL DFS article live over at ftndaily.com as well. If you want the daily package, we don't have an optimizer in the NHL, but we do have one in the NBA and the NFL. PGA as well, but like I said, golf is pretty much over, but we do have a lot of great stuff on the DFS side if you are looking to be part of the family. I'm going to start here with the size. I see Hammerhead Union going all in on the Sharks. Not for me, good sir. I will not put my hard-earned bucks on the San Jose Sharks, but the Florida Panthers are not one of my favorite picks. I'm not breaking any news here with the Devils, but I like this New Jersey team, and you know what? Montreal's actually playing pretty good. It's very early, but to see them ahead of the Maple Leafs and the Senators in the standings does put a little bit of a smile on my face here. But they haven't had the toughest opponents, and they played last night. And Pete wasn't wrong; they did get worked over by the Buffalo Sabres, but I think they're always going to be worthy of like dog consideration as long as Jake Allen's in net, because I think he's the better of the two, and Montembeault will go this evening. So the second half of that back-to-back, leaving Buffalo last night and then playing here tonight at home against the Devils, who've been waiting for them. We just love New Jersey on this show. We like them a lot. We have them Stanley Cup future. We continue to hammer Jack Hughes' props. There's a lot that I like from this game, but I got the Devils in the bet tracker at a 1.5 unit play on the puck line at plus 118 at Caesars. I have a 2 unit play at minus 140 for them to win in 60 in regulation over at DraftKings. And there are some players that I like in this game as well. Jack Hughes over 1.5 points at plus 120. I like Jesper Bratt for an assist at plus 115. I like Timo Meier to pick up a point at minus 120. Timo Meier, slow start to the season for him. You know what? It's been a slow start to his New Jersey career. Let's be honest. When he was acquired, he didn't really seem to fit in, and he was benched 2 games ago from the Devils. He played 40 seconds in the third period, 11 minutes total. That's not where he's going to live most nights, and he was placed on Jack Hughes' line in New Jersey's last game to get him going, and it did get him going. Right. He picked up 2 assists. It was his first 2 points of the season. He played 20 minutes. He shot the puck. And you know what? Jack Hughes is so good. I don't know if he's going to play with Hughes the rest of the way. If I was Lindy Ruff, I would do something like Toffoli, Hughes, and Bratt. I would just load up on those 3 guys and say, Hischier and Timo, you guys figure it out. But there's so many loaded superstars inside that top 6, and I'm not sure if Hischier's 100% good to go here tonight. But Timo Meier is going to get some power play time. The Canadians lead the NHL in penalties. This team is dirty. They're undisciplined. They remind me of kind of one of my beer league squads. These guys are hacking and taking dumb penalties. I've never seen a team take so many penalties 200 feet away from their net. It really does drive me nuts watching it. And it happened again last night. Like, guys are taking penalties in the offensive zone. For all the young kids out there, don't do it. Take the penalty in front. All the young kids out there betting on NHL on a Tuesday night. Yeah, I'm sure we have a lot of those fans here. George's like, yeah, what are you even talking about? But seriously, just take the penalties in front of your net to eliminate a goal, right? A 2-on-1, a breakaway, buddy in front of the net who's going to score, grab the stick, bear hug him. Don't be taking tripping penalties and hooking penalties in the offensive zone. So the Devils are going to get some power plays tonight. And I didn't get a chance to look at power play props this morning because it's just, guys, it's like 16 games here tonight. I got some boards at the end of this show to show you my favorite. I'll walk through some things, but to show you so we can figure out what to bet here tonight. But since we're on the Devils, I'm going to be doing a same game parlay. We actually hit a 50-1 same game parlay last week in a Canadians game. So we'll have some fun stuff in the bet tracker. We put $25 on that and we won 1,300. It was a nice little payout. I have a couple fun little same game parlays, but I'll definitely be diving into the Devils here tonight. Like Timo point, Brat point, Jack Hughes 2 point, Tyler Toffoli point. I mean, revenge narrative all you want, but Toffoli is a good bet to score a goal tonight. He just broke out last game against the Islanders, had a nice little snipe. Love that he's playing alongside Hughes. He's a volume shooter. The spot is right. And he's just scored everywhere he's played, right? Whether it was with the Canadians, that shortened season was lighting the world on fire. With the Flames last year, career high in goals, multiple 20-goal seasons with the Kings. Played in Vancouver for like 10 games, had like 11 points. Canucks decided that they didn't want to keep him. I just want to look at some power play stuff here, like Luke Hughes for a power play. I would expect the Devils to get 3 to 5 goals tonight. And I would expect them to get 3 to 5 power play opportunities, the way that I've seen Montreal play. And this carries over to last season. They're just dirty. Can't stay out of the box. So power play points here tonight. Is that Hamilton's plus 450? I get it. He's on the second unit, but it's things that you just can't ignore. I mean, wow. I thought James Van Riemsdyk at 3-1 for a power play point was juicy, but this is correct. Dougie plus 450 for a power play point on DraftKings. I have to double check that. It's correct. Okay. So like you just start off with, I mean, Hughes is plus 160. Just take the Hughes plus 120. Hughes plus 120 for 2 points. So just take that one. Plus 120. I like the Jesper Bratt assist at plus money, but Jesper Bratt here for a power play point is plus 270. Oh my goodness. What could go wrong? Plus 270 for the point. Timo Meyer's like not on that first unit. I just want to take Timo at minus 120 for the point, but I could see him scoring tonight. I really could. And at plus 380 for a popular point is really nice. But I'm not seeing Luke Hughes. Luke Hughes is the guy that I really wanted to look at. He's on that first unit. He scored a power play goal the other night, and I don't see him. So unfortunately, he's not there. But Dougie Hamilton at plus 450 is really strong. So shot prop Jack Hughes. I put him into a parlay with Evan Rodriguez. Those are two guys I really like tonight, but it's really juiced. I'll say for anybody who's just new to the show, stumbling across it, again, kids, don't take penalties in the offensive zone and use the prop shop because you'll get the best possible number. It'll save you a lot of time and a lot of cash in your pocket. Minus 165 for 4 shots for Jack Hughes is just ridiculous. If there's one devil I would pick, it would be Tyler Toffoli, and he's actually at a really good price. He's plus money, plus 124. It's actually come down a little bit. I saw plus 130 this morning, plus 124 for 4 shots for Tyler Toffoli. He's not in my favorite 10, I don't think, which I'll share in just a few moments. Hang tight. But I do like the Devils here tonight to fill the net. I have the Bruins in 60, minus 140 to win in regulation against the Chicago Blackhawks. At some point, the loss will come for the Bruins. I know I wasn't super high on them to start the season, but they've had some really cakewalk matchups to begin. So David Pastrnak at over 4.5 shots at minus 110. Not really breaking any news. I think he finds the back of the net tonight. I'd say Marchand picks up an assist. Pavel Zacha is on that top line with Marchand and with Pasta. He's not doing a whole lot, but I do have plus 140 for an apple tonight and assists for Zacha in the bet tracker. And I have plus 300 for James Van Riemsdyk to pick up an assist as well. I like the over 1.5 shots, but it's just too juiced. I'm going to stay away from Connor Bedard. I faded him against the Golden Knights the other night, and I'm going to fade him tonight. I don't want to spend that kind of price. It's got out of hand, right? I mean, it was awesome to start. We got 2.5 and we all loved it, but minus 160 for 4 shots tonight is just, it's not for me. I'd rather take the minus 120 for a point or for him to score a goal at plus 210 over at FanDuel. That's the way I would go, but I think the Bruins win this one. I'd considered puck line. I have a lean to the under. I'd say it's like maybe it's a 4-1 game, 4-2, 3-1 game, something like that. But I like the Bruins to win in 60. There's a couple other spreads that I really like. I'm sorry, Hammerhead. I like the Panthers tonight. I like the Panthers in the puck line at minus 1.5, at minus 112 there over at Unibet. I like Evan Rodriguez to pick up an assist at plus 155. His shot prop is really juiced. It's tough to get behind, but he's really checked a lot of boxes. Minus 150 at DraftKings is getting close to the cutoff. Other books have him at minus 182. He's minus 150 for a point. I'd rather that than the shots, but I like the assist at plus 155. He is, yes, he's still slated on that top line in that first power play as well. At some point, Montour is going to come back, Ben is going to come back, and the ice time will decline. But for now, in fantasy hockey, you just ride this thing out. And I think you just continue to attack his props. I mean, he's got 5 assists on the season. He's got 7 points in the 5 games, 21 shots over that span. The Sharks, they've lost all 5 of their games. They've allowed 20 goals over those 5 games, and they're inside the top 5 in shot attempts and shots allowed at 5.5 per 60. And the Florida Panthers push the pace, especially at home. So this is just a team to pick on all season long, the San Jose Sharks. And I'll do some sort of same game parlay as well with Mackenzie Blackwood, and then I'll attack shots. I like Matthew Tkachuk at over 3.5. We'll do Rodriguez over 2.5. We'll do Barkov at over 2.5. Carter Verhaeghe at over 2.5. That'll put all that into a same game parlay. You put the Florida Panthers shooters and the Sharks goalie, and that one will pay out at like 7-1, 9-1, and it all correlates. You can do that over at Prize Picks or Underdog as well. What else do I have here for sides? Let's see. I like Colorado on the money line. I got Colorado, I think, in the tracker at minus 135. So we'll start here on the left side. I like the Leafs. I didn't put them in the tracker because sometimes they play down their opponent. At some point, the Capitals will break out. So I'm kind of staying away from that game. But I like Matthews and I like the Leafs. I would lean to the Leafs. The Ducks and the Blue Jackets, I'm not touching it, but I do like, if I'm picking goal scorers, it would be the 2 young bucks there in Carlson and Fantilli. I would lean with Troy Terry shots in that game. I'll get back to Ottawa here in a second because I really like Josh Norris, and there's some value with Josh Norris there. Nice to see Tate Thompson shoot the puck last night, and Alex Tuck, those guys. In the second half of a back-to-back, I would lean to the over on the shot props with those 2 guys, but the Sabres are going through something at the moment. I like Tampa Bay at home, Carolina, lengthy road trip on the road, not getting the goaltending. It probably lean to the over between these 2 teams because both goalies between the pipes, they've been awful. Kochetkov, I mean, he hasn't shown me anything really in the NHL, and Antti Rant has been awful to start. On the other side, no Vasilevsky. So we know that the Devils in 60, the Devils puck line, attacking Hughes, Timo Meier for a point, Jesper Bratt assist, some power play stuff there. Roope Hintz is plus money for 3 shots. He's also at minus 135 for a point. I do like that one. I'd lean to the Stars winning this game on the road. Like the Panthers, we talked about the puck line at home there for Florida. Evan Rodriguez assist, like the points, like the shots. Also like Matthew Tkachuk shots as well. Pretty decent 130 on Barkov. I mean, he's a pass-first guy, but this is a spot where he could just rack up a few shots. I like the Avs here on the road, just playing really good hockey. As long as it's Georgiev between the pipes, and it sounds like it, that guy may win. We have him for over 35 wins in the tracker and the Vezina trophy. I think we had him at minus or at 16-1 potentially. I mean, he's a good bet, man, because Shesterkin is just up and down. Sorokin is good. He's really good, but so is Georgiev, and the team in front of him is much better. Man, Georgiev would be my pick, and he was my pick. I think we had him as like futures. We did have some. I'm looking again. I think it's 16-1. Detroit's just so hot right now, hard to ignore. And DeBrincat's at a pretty good price. I know the Kraken are kind of stingy at 5-5, but I mean, I can't ignore DeBrincat. And I think I saw him at minus 130 here this morning. And yeah, you still get minus 130 over at BetMGM, plus 135 for an Apple, minus 150 for a point. And he's plus 180 for a goal. I mean, he just can't be stopped right now. You just can't ignore these guys that are streaky. There's a lot of streaky players in the NHL, and you just ride it when it's hot. The Bruins there in 60 on the road. We talked about Pasternak, maybe Zaka finding the score sheet for a point, and JVR for a point as well. I like Kyle Connor here. The Blues are among the leaders in shot attempts and shots allowed at 5-5 per 60, and Kyle Connor's inside the top 12 in terms of shot attempts at 5-5. So a pretty decent price for Kyle Connor. You're going to need 4 from him, though. It will be interesting to see how the Oilers fare without Connor McDavid. I like Evan Bouchard at minus 120 for over 2.5 shots. He's been shooting quite a bit. And, with no McDavid on that power play, obviously it's not going to be as nice, but Bouchard has been shooting regardless, and they're going to do what they can. Opposing teams, they'll now garner all their attention to Draisaitl, and it should leave some open avenues for Bouchard from the point there. On the other side, Kaprizov and Joel Eriksson Ek. We've seen the Oilers just can't keep the puck into their net, and they're allowing a lot of rubber at the moment. Philip Forsberg at over 3.5 shots. We have him in the bet tracker. I was actually surprised to see this price from Forsberg. It's not as juice as I thought. Plus 105 over at Bet Rivers. He's got 34 attempts at 5-5. It's the third most in the NHL, and his 20 shots at 5-5 are just two behind Nathan McKinnon for the league high. And I would lean with Brock Besser in that game. You know what, Nyquist, I haven't been able to find anything like strong on Nyquist, but when Nashville played the Sharks the other night, this is one we were all over as well. Unfortunately, we didn't get the point parlay from O'Reilly and from Forsberg, but we were all over Novak for a goal. We had him in the DK core article, and he was sub 3.4, I think. And Gustav Nyquist as well. Like, Nyquist has just been shooting a lot. And, you know, he's on that first power play. He had back-to-back games with 4 shots. I can't seem to find anything reasonable when it comes to him. Like, minus 157 for 2 shots is not interesting to me, but plus 130 for a point. And we had this in the bet tracker. We had plus 650 for a Nyquist point, power play point on Saturday against the Sharks, and he picked one up. He's 6-1. He's 6-1 tonight again for a power play point. The matchup isn't as nice, but 6-1 on the first unit with Forsberg and O'Reilly and with Roman Josi. That is, I'm going to have to dive back into that one again. 6-1 Nyquist power play point. I like the Rangers on the road here. The Flames just haven't shown me much. They're just too inconsistent, not getting the goaltending. Shesterkin again, he's up and down, hot and cold, but you can get New York at minus 110 over at FanDuel. I think that's pretty good odds for them. They're the better team. I like Arizona as a dog again. I'm just going to continue to ride out the Coyotes. Why not? We've got them at 5-1 to make the playoffs. Coach of the year, 50-1, plus 170 here for them to go in on the road and beat the Kings, who, you know, haven't had any goaltending really to start the season. And, you know, if there's another upset, it could be Philadelphia. At some point, Vegas is going to lose a hockey game. Alex Pietrangelo practicing. I don't know if he suits up today, but he did return to practice according to reports yesterday. So it's really possible that he could suit up. I've been really impressed. Like, Sean Couturier and Cam Atkinson have been like two of my favorite fantasy players for years. I think Couturier is one of the better two-way players in the NHL. Hasn't played in quite some time. Up on that line with Cam Atkinson. And he, you know, look at the game log for Cam Atkinson. If you want, you know, a late night shot prop, you know, it's a tough spot. Vegas doesn't allow a lot and they block a lot of shots, but Cam Atkinson is a shooter and he's been scoring goals to start in with Couturier and up on that top line as well. With Owen Tippett. Like, that's a trio that I will have my eye on, but I like Vegas to continue to roll here. So we'll leave on some props here. We got, let's do points. So some value, some a little juice, you know, prop shop. Again, your friend to get the best possible number. Jack Hughes for the 2-point night here tonight. Timo Meier for the point. Oh, yeah, Josh Norris. Josh Norris is the guy that I wanted to talk about as well. Josh Norris over 2.5 shots at plus 125 over at BetMGM. Josh Norris for a goal at plus 240 over at FanDuel. But Josh Norris for a point here tonight at minus 125. He's got 2 goals and 3 points in the first 2 games of the season. Only played 16 minutes in his first game. Remember, he missed most of last season with an injury and wasn't with the team, you know, through preseason and missed the start of the season as well. Played on that third line, played 16 minutes, had a couple goals. Now he's on the second line in the first power play, set to play his 3rd game of the season this year. The ice time jumped up in game number 2. So through 2 games, he's got the 3 points, 2 power play points. He's got 8 shots, and the Sabres can't keep the puck into their net, right? They've lost 4 of their first 6 games. Goaltending continues to be an issue there. So like Josh Morris, over 2.5 shots plus money, and Josh Norris to pick up a point. And you know what? It may be a goal. You know what? It may be a power play point too. So Josh Norris is on the board. Evan Rodriguez, we talked about earlier, hitting the score sheet, getting an opportunity to play with good players in the first power play and in probably the best spot tonight that you could be in. There's a lot of good teams in good spots, right? When you look overall at this board and you see, you know, the Leafs generate offense, Capitals can't keep the puck, you know, out of their ends. You got the Devils, they generate offense as well. You got the Sharks, who allow so much, and the Florida Panthers. The Islanders are allowing a lot at 5-5. The Avs can push the pace. The Blackhawks just give up so much. The Bruins are always among the leaders here. And then you have the Canucks, who give up a lot, right? Canucks are near the top of the list there in terms of allowing shot attempts. I'm not crazy about the Preds, but definitely like that top line. And then the Flyers have actually been, like I said, okay at 5-5. So, we saved the goals. We got the points here. So Jack Hughes 2, Timo Meier point, Josh Norris point, Evan Rodriguez point, Rupe Hintz. I just think it's pretty good value. He's also plus money for 3 shots tonight. Pretty good value for him, minus 140 for a point. He should be like minus 180, 190. Alex DeBrincat minus 150 for a point. Nick Schmaltz minus 150 as well. Leo Carlson here for minus 130. Shea Theodore at minus 115, and just a touch of a long shot there for James Van Riemsdyk at plus 130. These are some of the shot props I'm taking a look at. Like I said earlier, Jack Hughes and Evan Rodriguez are just a touch juice there to take as singles. So put that into a parlay. I probably have a couple more parlays towards the middle afternoon after Mean Streets here. But again, those are 2 that jumped out off the page, but just a little bit of juice. Austin Matthews at plus 105 for 5 shots. Matthews is among the leaders, right? It's just a really good start for him. The Capitals, I'm more leaning with the Capitals team being dust than Ovechkin, right? We had Washington, I think, 7th in the Metro. We didn't like them overall as a squad, and Backstrom doesn't have much to offer. TJ Oshie, Kuznetsov is just not in it, man. This doesn't seem like a guy that really cares one bit. And Strome, like I said, I think Strome's the best young center for Ovechkin to play with. But these guys can't keep the puck out of their end at the moment. 18 shots at 5-5 through 5 games for Matthews. It's the 4th most, 28 attempts over that span. Big, shot volume guy in the power play. And the Capitals are averaging 6 penalty minutes per game, which is tied for the 3rd most in the NHL. Philip Forsberg here, talked about it earlier, but if you're just joining us here on the show, Forsberg is among the leaders in shot attempts and shots. Only Nathan McKinnon has more shots at 5-5 than Forsberg, and Forsberg's got the 34 attempts at 5-5, which is the 3rd most in the NHL. DeBrincat, right? How are we going to ignore this? This guy's just too red hot at the moment to ignore anything Alex DeBrincat. And considering the way that the Kraken are playing hockey, which is not good, right? I think we expected some 5-5 regression, but I still expect them to be better than this. But ultimately, their goaltending is not good, and it hasn't been good since they entered the NHL. Like, Grubauer is not the answer. It's not the answer at all. When you look at DeBrincat leads the NHL in goals. He's got 8 goals. He's got 12 points. He's got 3 multi-goal games already. He's hit the score sheet in every single game but one. Of course, it happened to be against his former squad, the Ottawa Senators. But he does have 3 games with at least 4 shots as well. So minus 130 there for the 3 shots. And Sam Reinhart, again, you just can't ignore these guys that are feeling it at the moment. Is he a sell high candidate? Sure. Is he going to score 50 goals? No, but Sam Reinhart's a proven 25, 30 goal scorer in the NHL. He's got goals in 4 straight games, 5 or 6 over that span. He's got 4 straight games with at least 2 points. He's got at least 4 shots in 4 straight games. He's played at least 19-30 in 4 straight games and at least 20 minutes in every single game but one. So he is getting a ton of ice time, a ton of opportunity. The Sharks are the worst team in the NHL, and it's not even close. And I can say that with confidence. At least the Blackhawks have Connor Bedard, right? The Sharks, when they get Lokic, maybe they'll be the 2nd worst team in the NHL, but they got nothing on their blue line. Their bottom 6 is atrocious. It's nice that they're getting something from Zadina. And Timo Meier really should be rostered because he's a top 20 fantasy hockey player in leagues with faceoffs, and he's going to get a lot of ice time, and he's a really good player. But this San Jose Sharks team at 5-5, they are their expected goals against is 3.4. Only the Canucks have a worse mark. The shot attempts they are allowing per game is 69. Only the Blackhawks and the Blues are allowing more shot attempts at 5-5 per 60. Only the Lightning, by the way, the Lightning, of all the people that like this Tampa Bay Lightning team, well, so far they have allowed the 2nd most shots at 5-5 per 60. Only the Blackhawks have allowed more. And you know what? Vasilevsky's only going to be able to do so much. This is an old roster, man. And the Lightning look really slow, in my opinion. And so the Sharks are a really good spot here tonight. And we got some goal scorers here. So it's not how many goal scorers would Eli have if he was here in a 16-game slate? 75? 85? Maybe. I try to narrow it down, and I wasn't just really shooting for, good odds. And, I got a couple long shots there towards the bottom. I just trying to get winners. And these are guys that I think will score tonight. Jack Hughes, Sam Reinhart, Alex DeBrincat. I'm just riding the wave with Reinhart and DeBrincat. They're just feeling it at the moment. Plus, the matchups are pretty solid. Kyle Connor at plus 120, Clayton Keller at plus 155. Again, prop shop's your friend to get the best possible numbers here. Check out PointsBet Canada. They're good to us. Jonathan Marchessault at plus 135. Tyler Toffoli at plus 170. Man, I really like that Toffoli one. If I was to rank these, I'd have Toffoli a touch higher. William Nylander at plus 135, Josh Norris at plus 140, Brad Marchand at plus 185, Ed Rodriguez at plus 200, Leo Carlson there at plus 125. And again, to get out of here on the sides, I like the Devils on the puck line. I like the Devils in 60. I like the Florida Panthers in 60 puck line, whatever way you want to go. I like the Boston Bruins in 60. I like the Vegas Golden Knights to win in 60. Arizona is my dog of the day. They're going to be my dog of the year. The New York Rangers on the road at minus 110. I know there's a lot of games, but we can't bet everything here. I like Dallas on the road. I like the over between Carolina and Tampa Bay. I lean to the over between the Ottawa Senators and the Buffalo Sabres. And I'll lean with the Leafs there, but man, the Leafs do really play down to their opponent. That's pretty much it. There's a lot here. I'll roll through some of this stuff just to see if there's any questions, and then we'll bounce. So check out the prop shop, parlay calculator, ftnbets.com. Like I said, we hit some same game parlays there. We'll have a couple other ones. You know what? I'll roll through these comments, and then I'll get 2 same game parlays. Let's see if we can. I tell you what, you hit a 50-1 same game parlay, and it doesn't really matter what happens for the next couple of weeks. You're just rolling, right? It's gravy, right, George? Hit one of these. It doesn't really matter. We got to bring up Bet365. It's the only place you can do the points. So we'll get one of those on the way out. I want to say what up to. I want to just address any other questions that we had here. Blue Jackets in 7. I love that one. Happy Frozen Frenzy Day, Adam. Oh, baby. Josh Norris. Yes, we're on the same page here. Plus 120, plus 125. Yeah, I love it. Great value. Oh, my goodness. I like the point, too, minus 120. I should have started Monty against Meaney in the Yahoo League. Yeah, we're going up against each other, right? Dangle Betselli. Monty. Yeah. I guess you should have. I don't know who you mean. Montgomery? Setbat Spike? Are you in the Setbat Spike? Or are you talking about the Dangle Betselli? Anyways, Montembeault. Oh, it was Allen last night. I dare you to start Montembeault against the Devils tonight. Go for it. Zach Werenski over 2.5 shots. Yeah, that's not a bad one. Right. Still own this guy. A lot of people dropped him, went on IR, missed a couple games, came back, scored an empty net goal. We love Werenski on this show. He's underrated. This is a good one there. Enjoy the game. Oh yeah, Troy, you had a game that you're going to tonight, right? Yeah. I mean, I like the Avs to win that hockey game tonight, as long as Georgiev is between the pipes. Lekkonen's been really good. Not breaking any news with Nathan McKinnon with the shots, but the Islanders are giving up some too. It's not your old stingy New York Islanders, but I think a decent price. Usually we get McKinnon around, I don't know, minus 150, minus 160 or something silly. I thought I saw minus 120 for McKinnon a little bit earlier. Minus 130 now over at DraftKings. So the thing with what I've noticed early too is McKinnon is he's plus 130 tonight for 2 points. Like, I don't love it because Sorokin's fantastic, although we did have Jack Hughes the other night at plus 175 for 2 points. And he hit that one pretty easily. A 3-4 point night. McKinnon could certainly do this. Like, there's good value on McKinnon at plus 130, but I usually see McKinnon at minus 125, minus 130 for 2 points. And then I see Rantanen at like plus 130. So without looking, and I'm going to type it in, I would say seeing McKinnon at plus 130 for 2 points. Rantanen's probably plus 155, plus 160. These guys correlate, right? They touch the puck so much. The 5-5, the power play. For the most part, if McKinnon's getting 2 points, Mikko Rantanen's getting 2 points. Plus 170 for Mikko Rantanen. I'm not saying, if you're looking for a long shot, like, it doesn't even seem like a long shot because it's McKinnon and Rantanen. But the fact that you're getting that number because it is Sorokin, I would lean that way. Maybe Lehkonen for shots or a goal. Duren for an apple is a little risky because I've seen Tatar play on that top line lately. And on the other side, Brock Nelson is just man, every single night he's putting pucks towards the goal, and he's probably one of the more underrated players in the NHL because nobody talks about him. And he's a 25 goal scorer, man. He gets it done. Okay, good luck. Columbus and Ducks bet draw in the under. Yeah, I would lean to the under there. Come on, Means, you should know we want to go through every game. I know we probably should have, but I did my best there to kind of roll through some of those games. Good luck. Can you give us your top 3 or 5 goal scorers tonight? Yeah, I'll just go back here, Emmerich, to I would say my top 5 goal scorers tonight would be Jack Hughes, Tyler Toffoli, so just 2 Devils right off the hop. I like Sam Reinhart. I like Clayton Keller. I don't believe in the Kings goaltending. I like Marsh. So that's kind of where I'm at. And I just Josh Norris, right, is really feeling it in the Sabres. I just picking on some teams that can't keep the puck out of their net with a busy slate like this. And those teams are the following. Montreal will struggle tonight with all those penalties. The Oilers can't keep the puck out of their net. Like Kaprizov is probably I mean, you can probably get him around plus 100 for Kaprizov. And I want to give Pasternak, I think, Marchand or James Van Riemsdyk is like maybe a flyer there. Could potentially be the way to go. The Sharks can't keep the puck out of their net. I would just kind of attack that way, and the Sabres can't keep the puck out of their net either. So I want to go back here and get back to the comments. You guys are loving it, and I'm loving that you're loving it. Lots of picks, lots of props, lots of goal scorers. I dig it. I have an 11, Seth. I have an 11 player shot prop parlay. That's a lock tonight. Oh man, you have some fun over at FanDuel and do some 2+, 3+ sort of things. Like that's one that you could do tonight for the Florida Panthers or the Devils. I would consider those guys as well. Sharks over team total. Sharks puck line. Meaney shot prop king. Welcome in, Jason Prince. Good morning, Richard. Welcome in. Pete, who's scoring tonight. So hopefully you stuck around, Emmerich, for some goal scores there towards the end. We rolled through some of that stuff. Meaney, how do you feel about Wi-Fi losing his heavyweight title on Thursday? That should be, man, if they fight, it should be a pretty good one, right? Wi-Fi is he's a big boy, man. I like to see him push around Ryan Reeves. Already sorry in advance that Columbus is going to embarrass your Canadians. I don't know, man. Did the Blue Jackets embarrass anybody? I might have to take the Habs there as dogs after the Habs get embarrassed tonight. But yeah, Blue Jackets, man. I love it. I love how much you like them. And I'm jealous. I wish that the Canadians were exciting because they're not. Too early to say Ovi is done. I agree. It's a little bit of a stretch. Came 2 months ago. There would be much more made of it, blown out of proportion since it's happening this early. I agree. It's the same crap everyone said last year. He scored 0 goals in the first 3 games. He went on to score 40. What, is he going to score 40 this year? I'd say no. But I think he's a 30-goal scorer. I think he's still going to score 30 goals. He's going to have his moments, right? It's all fine. New Jersey 1 is going to go ham tonight. They got Montreal in the back-to-back. Yes, Myron Kidd, we do love that as well. And we could take some shots here tonight with some different Devils, so some power play stuff like Dougie Hamilton plus 450 for the power play point. Maybe Timo Meier for a power play point. I think Toffoli scores a power play goal. I like the over on his 3.5 shots. I think he's going to have a nice little night tonight. And they're have their hands full with Jack Hughes. What do we got here? Eichel, most shots in the league. Eichel's feeling it. Definitely feeling it at the moment. Tampa money line over Tampa. What do we got? O'Reilly faceoff wins. Devils race to score 4 goals plus 100 on DK. It's not bad. It's all right. Yeah, you got the same game parlay stuff going on as well, right? That's you got Hughes, Toffoli, Pearson in New Jersey over 3.5 goals. Yeah, Pearson's been pretty hot to start. I like that. Okay. Yeah, I don't understand the Forsberg price either. It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense because he's just been shooting so much and the matchup is pretty good, right? I mean, the Canucks have allowed a lot of rubber for sure. Okay. Looks like you guys got a lot, man. Yeah, I want Marchessault's bankroll as well. He's got a lot of stuff there. What happens to, I don't know what this is, Mika Tober? Oh yeah, Mika Zibanejad, October. Yeah, he's usually feeling it in October, isn't he? Slow start for the boy. I viewed him as a buy low candidate in the fantasy hockey article. It's free over at FTN Fantasy. I did have him as a, it may be tonight. Maybe he breaks out tonight because the Flames aren't good, right? So it could happen tonight. I kind of stayed away from any props in that game. And there was a time where I hammered Mika Zibanejad over 2.5 shots, and at minus 125, I'd really jump all over that. But I'm not into it these days. But plus 190 for a goal, FanDuel, maybe all right. It may be all right. Okay. I think we're good. I think we've done it. I want to do a couple same game parlays for you guys because you know what? I've had some success, and I'd love for that to carry over tonight and you guys to maybe get one here. So I'm gonna start New Jersey, and I'm gonna do a point one. So we'll go Jack Hughes 2 points. We won't get greedy with adding shots, but that's where you make the 50-1. The 50-1 that I hit the other night was Alex Ovechkin over 3.5 shots. We had John Carlson over 2.5 shots, Caulfield over 3.5. We had Matheson over 2.5, and then we had Ovechkin for a point, Carlson for a point, and Suzuki point, Matheson point, and Caulfield. So to get the 50, you really have to get into the props and the shots. Appreciate you, Marchessault, and all the picks and props, and good luck this week. Yeah, we're facing each other in the Dangle Bet Selly matchup. Good luck with all the winners. So let's do this. We'll go Hughes for. Is Heischer locked in? Do we know Heischer's playing? I think he's playing. I think he's good to go. Pete kind of threw me off with the Heischer talk. I think he's good to go. Didn't play in the third. Haven't heard anything just yet. We can leave him off if we want. We can go Brat point, Hughes 2 points, Timo Meyer a point, and Tyler Toffoli. Like that's pretty good. Just to kind of leave it at that. That's 5-1, right? Plus 500. So it's Hughes 2 points. It's Brat point. We got Toffoli point and Meyer point. I mean, that's not even getting too crazy. That's, like I said, 5-1. To get a little more nuts on that one, I would put a full unit on that 5-1, maybe half a unit if you want to go that way. 0.25 is when you get nuts. You add Dougie Hamilton, you add Nico Heischer, and all of a sudden that's 12-1. You add Jack Hughes. I think Timo gets 3 shots too, but you just add Jack Hughes. So now that all of a sudden turns into 18-1. So it's just Hughes 2 points, Hughes 4 shots, Brat point, Meyer point, Toffoli point, Hamilton point, and Nico Heischer point. I mean, it does seem like a lot, but they all kind of correlate. And the way that the Canadians have just taken penalties, this one may work out in our favor. That might be pretty good. So I'll add that one, and let's go to Florida. Let's go to Florida. Bet365, by the way. It's just, man, it really is worth signing up over there because no other books allow these point parlays, and they just correlate, and I love them. I may do shots here for this one. Let's go Verhaeghe 3 shots, Kachuk 4, Rodriguez 3, Reinhardt 3. Let me just leave it at that. Do we have a goalie yet? We don't have a goalie yet. So that one you would just stay clear of for now. But you would add the goalie, and that would probably bring it at 9-1. I've been doing this with the Sharks. It just allows so much. So for Hagee 3 shots, Kachuk 4 shots, Rodriguez 3, and Sam Reinhart 3. And then you add the goalie saves. And you know what? If these guys are all hitting their shots and, the goalie saves will probably be around 29.5, 30, 31.5. Just following a trend here. And I think that's one that could work out for us. So we'll wait to see if the goalie is locked in. It should be Blackwood, but we'll see. Yeah, I mean, they could disappoint all they want, but they're going to get shots. And that's why doing this parlay without leaving the points is the way to go. We've hit this a couple times, actually. We had the Hurricanes one when Carolina played San Jose, and then we had the Bruins, I do believe, which worked out for us. We hit that one as well. So, or we were close. We may have 4 or 5. But Prize Picks allows you to do that if you want to go 4 for 5, 5 for 6. The George special, you're not going to go perfect all the time. You're still earning yourself a little bit of a profit. But take the Blackwood saves and then the Florida shooters there. Maybe we could do one more same game parlay here for you guys tonight. What do we got? Let's Vegas is always a team I like to kind of consider. Ottawa and Buffalo could be a fun one with some points here tonight. So we can go Tage Thompson. I know that Thompson and Skinner and Tucker are all split up, but they're all in the power play today or together. You can do Kachuk point, Josh Norris point, Giroux point. Sanderson's a good one as well to kind of include, but just doing those guys like Thompson, Skinner, Tuck, Kachuk, Norris, and Giroux is 11-1. 11-1 for those guys to do a point. Stützle's at 1.5, so you can just add the assist maybe for Stützle and get the apple in there. And you can get creative with these, like Batherson. Batherson correlates with Josh Norris. Stützle, Kachuk, and Giroux correlate together. And like I said, that power play, maybe you go Dahlin. Like, I think that this one could be like a 6-5 game. Like, this one may get nuts here. Dahlin point, Skinner, Tage, Tuck point. Let's go Batherson. Let's go Giroux, Norris, and Brady Kachuk. And that's 22-1. 22-1 is basically the entire top 6 to kind of hit the score sheet without having Stützle in there, who is at 1.5. So we've gone super long. We're going to get out of here, guys. Fun night in the NHL with the 16 games, the Frozen Frenzy. Going to be watching live for sure, seeing how it all unfolds. Hit me up if you guys have any questions. Smash that like button, rate, review, subscribe, tell a friend. Reach out at Chris Meaney, meanstreetsftn@gmail.com. Fantasy hockey articles are live inside the description of this video. If you're looking for fantasy hockey stuff, we got you covered over at FTN Fantasy. It's all free, and links again inside the description of this video. Good luck on the ice. Let the winners be yours, and we'll be back on Thursday. So appreciate you guys taking the time to hang out here. Good luck. We'll talk soon. Oh, free article over at ftnbets.com as well for more picks and plays. Promo code Meaney if you want all the plays. Have a good one. Cheers.